Today I'm here to speak about WinDBG, the Microsoft debugger, and .NET analysis with a lot of demo for this presentation. So I prayed demo God, but I'm not sure it works. As usual for demo, we will see. So my name is Paul. I'm working from Talos Outreach, and I'm malware analyst and malware hunter for more than 7 years. I'm French, as you can hear, so sorry for the accent and the broken English. It's not my fault, it's my parents' fault. And I'm co-organizer of a conference in France with a lot of broken English too, named BotConf. It takes place in December in south of France this year, so feel free to come if you wish. So here is the program for today. First, I'm going to introduce WinDBG. Just for information, who know WinDBG? Yeah, it's going to be easy. 2, 3, 4. And I will shortly explain how it works and give you a few comments, because during demo I will use WinDBG, so simply to help you to understand. I won't explain all the commands of the tool because there is too much command on it, but simply to help you to understand everything. After, I will present you 2 case studies. The first one is how to analyze PowerShell script with WinDBG. You will see why I need to do that later. And after, I will mention .NET Packer and how to automatically unpack sample packed with this .NET Packer thanks to WinDBG. And at the end, I will show you a script we released on our GitHub account to help to do this kind of thing and have acceptable output on WinDBG, you will see. So, first thing, just to clearly understand where we are just here. It's not a picture from me, it's a picture I found on Reddit. So WinDBG's CDB is the same tool, simply WinDBG have a user agree, and CDB is pure command line tools. And debug.com, I think only old people know this binary. And it's not a URL. I saw some people on previous presentation going on debug.com. No, it's .com like .exe. It's binary. So WinDBG is a free debugger for Windows system. You can download it on Microsoft website. But it's not a really popular debugger. Generally, people use OnlyDBG or UnityDBG. Why? Because in fact, it's really ugly. It's archaic user interface. It's only command line. You don't have, for example, if you are used to use OnlyDBG, you've got register on bottom right, I think. You've got stack, you've got the code, you've got memory, etc. So you've got a lot of information. On WinDBG, you don't have any information. You've got command line and you must ask every information you want. The syntax is a nightmare, to be honest. It's the worst syntax in the world. They create a scripting language that is worse than the syntax. It's really, really bad. But the good thing, and why I use it a lot, it perfectly supports Windows system, and you can use symbol, you can have information that other debugger don't give to you. And basically, it supports .NET debugging. If you try to debug .NET application on OnlyDBG, good luck. It won't work really well. And once you accept the rule, it's bad syntax, it's really powerful and really interesting. Here is just for information, the syntax to display data in memory. It's start by D for display, I think. You got display by, display pointer, display Unicode value, etc. And you put the address, and you have this kind of output on WinDBG. Of course, like on every debugger, you can put breakpoint, stop execution flow at specific address or specific function. It starts by B, like breakpoint. You can breakpoint that address, list breakpoint with BL, delete, disable, enable breakpoint, etc. It's really like command debugger, except that you must use command line. Something really interesting, I don't know if you can do that on Unity or OnlyDBG, but you can breakpoint on specific event. It means I would like to breakpoint when this specific library is loaded inside of the binary. So if it never loaded, the binary would be executed and never stopped. But if this library is loaded, the execution flow will be stopped at the loading, and you have access to the binary. It's stopped, and you can analyze it, put other breakpoint, etc., etc. You can make some memory dump. I want to copy this byte inside of memory on file. Of course, you can do that. You can list loaded module, etc., exactly like on Immunity Debugger, but in command line. It's not the official documentation, but it's a really useful link, and everything that 80% of the daily commands are available here, and it's this website is really well done. I really recommend it if you don't use WinDBG often. Something interesting I said, it supports .NET, and .NET is support is provided by an extension load named SOS. I don't know why it's named like that, but anyway, it provides a new set of commands dedicated to .NET analysis. And on this presentation, I will use a lot SOS because every interesting command from our point of view is located here. For example, you can use breakpoint exactly like before, but not breakpoint on address or breakpoint on C, unmanaged function. Here you can breakpoint directly on .NET function. For example, here you can directly breakpoint on assembly load function. So, and behind the debugger will automatically identify where is this function and breakpoint for you, etc., etc. So you don't have to know the address, you don't have to analyze the DLL where is located this function. It's here. In this case, you can see that it will breakpoint on 8 different methods. Why? Because in .NET you can have a unique function with different arguments. One argument will be a byte array, on the other argument you can put strings, for example, etc., etc. So with the same name, you can have different functions depending on the argument. It's exactly the case here. For example, here is looking for a system security policy evidence argument, and here it's a different one. That's why we have two functions with the same name, but with two different addresses. If you look, it's two different addresses, simply because they don't have the same argument, and .NET alone itself will choose which one he must execute depending on argument type. Another thing interesting is you can have the stack equivalent in .NET, so you can get argument when you breakpoint on a specific function, you can get argument value. So here, for example, the first argument is a process start info structure, and you are able to get information on this structure. For example, here I ask with dump obj the information about the object, and I got all the information, address, etc. But here I got string length, first characters, etc., etc. All of these commands are documented by Microsoft, so it's really easy to simply read documentation and have a thing. So, it's simply an introduction to have a first overview, but I will do a lot of demo to clearly understand how it works, and it's not so complicated. It looks like complicated, but not so much. So, I sent a poll a few weeks ago on Twitter to ask if people use WinDBG to analyze PowerShell script. Basically, people say to me, what the fuck? Because generally, when you have to analyze a PowerShell, you open it on Notepad and you read, and it's nothing more. The thing is, imagine you have to analyze 2,000 different scripts. You know it's the same behavior. It download file on the internet and execute it, and you have to analyze 2,000 scripts. You can open 2,000 Notepad, of course, or you can try to make automate stuff, and I choose to do it with WinDBG. And thanks to what I will show you, I was able to analyze this 2,000 script on one day. So really easy. I log every download file, I load the URL, I download the file, I get the hash, etc., etc., automatically. So, yeah, it's more or less what I mentioned. So, when I don't know if you are used to analyze PowerShell script, but you have two kind of call. PowerShell script can directly load unmanaged code. C code. So in this case, you can directly on PowerShell load, I don't know, virtualalloc. In this case, it used virtualalloc. And in this case, you can simply breakpoint on virtualalloc, like on classic debugger, get the information, etc. So in this context, specifically, PowerShell does not use .NET, but it directly uses unmanaged code. It's not what I'm interested of. This one is more interesting from my point of view. When you do start-process notepad, for example, in this case, in fact, PowerShell will use .NET library. It doesn't use unmanaged code, but it embedded .NET and execute .NET code directly to execute process. So on this context, typically, we can use SOS extension to monitor activities. So it's when problem become generally when I start demo. So the first thing, so WinDBG, really sexy. You can attach to process. I will choose my PowerShell process here. Yeah, it would be easier for you. So at this time, I've got my PowerShell, and I cannot do anything. It's breakpoint, it's in pause, and waiting for comments. The first thing, by default, WinDBG does not load SOS extension. You need to do it manually and load SOS extension. At this time, I got a new set of commands, breakpoint on .NET function, etc., etc. And the first thing I can do is to breakpoint on process start. I do it. Yeah, you've got an error. I don't know why. We must execute twice. It's bugged on SOS extension. So at this time, you can see it breakpoint on 6 different methods. Each method are named process start, but each method have different argument. And I can simply execute. You can see all the enter I did previously appear because the binary is running. And I'm going to do my start dash process and execute calc. At this time, the debugger is breaking because the process start API is executed, and I can use CLS stack, as I mentioned previously, to get argument, to get the stack from a .NET point of view. And if I go on the first thing, here I got process start, and the argument is a process start info. I can click on it, and I've got the object, the process start object in .NET here, and I'm interested, for example, by file name, because I want to know which file name is executed. I click on it, and here you've got the strings, calc.exe. Donc, in this case, simply by clicking, in fact, it uses dump obj each time you click on something, I'm able to get automatically the process, the file name executed by start process. It's what I mentioned here. Another thing, for example, you've got a part of the start process object is directory, and in this case is the directory where is executed calc.exe. PowerShell, when you execute it, you are directly on your home directory, and that's why it's my home directory. So here, you can automatically dump information. If you are interested by directly getting information from a register, you can do that. And it gives you an address, and it's stored in Unicode. That's why I use DU. And it failed. It's normal. And you've got calc.exe. So you can use CLS-stat, dump obj, etc., to get information, or you can directly ask for a register, like on command debugger, to get this information. So thanks to this first thing, we can create a script to get automatically information from start process. Another example, and if I Continue. Of course, calc.exe is executed on the machine. I'm gonna do another example. Same thing. I attach my debugger to PowerShell. I increase font for you. Big font. Here. There we go. Now, I'm going to do something a little bit different. I load SOS extension as previously, but I want to breakpoint on download file API. When you analyze PowerShell script used by ransomware or banking Trojan, usually it downloads something on the internet and executes it. And he used download file to do this task. I breakpoint on it twice. And at this time, I can allow execution. And here, I would create a new object, and I will download something on the internet and store it on my desktop directory. At this time, it's stopped. You've got here a breakpoint. It's automatically stopped during execution. And I can have from registry the information. Here, you've got the first argument. If you look here, it's blog Talos intelligence. And I can have the second argument, so where the file is stored. Here. And you've got the path. So same thing than previously, you can automatically do the different steps by scripting and dump every URL where you try to download something malicious. And you can download it and store it on a specific directory to analyze it after, etc., etc. You can do what you want. Here is an example of automatization with, you can see the wonderful syntax of WinDBG. If you want to make script, this kind of syntax is really, really common and really bad. So it's a first example about how to use WinDBG to analyze a PowerShell script and when it used .NET API. Another case I had few weeks, months ago, I had to analyze a .NET malware. And this .NET malware uses a specific packer, something I don't know, but really easy to understand. It's, I think it's here. So yeah, here you've got a lot of a lot of string, look like Chinese and number, etc., etc. And how works the packer? In this case, it takes these strings and puts this string inside of this function. And the purpose of this function, if you look here, is to perform XOR on it and decode the strings. And once this string is decoded, a specific API is used. Assembly load is used on the decoded strings. So basically what does it mean? You've got encoded strings, you decode it, you've got a new assembly code, a new .NET binary, and you use assembly load to execute it. So it's not really complex. But imagine the same thing. You have thousands of samples to analyze with the same behavior, but with a little bit different XOR or different key or different stuff. For example, I found another sample with exactly the same philosophy, but in this case, he used AES encryption. So he has encrypted strings, use AES to decrypt it, and finally use assembly load to execute the decoded data. You should have assembly load somewhere. Yeah, assembly load here. Oh shit. Anyway. So in this case, we have different packer, but with exactly the same behavior. I decode data by two different methods, XOR, encryption, and I load decoded data with assembly load. It's what I mentioned here. Assembly load, what is this function for people who don't code in .NET? It's you've got a byte array in argument and load the assembly, blah, blah, blah. So basically it's an executable in argument, not a pass, but release the executable, and it's loaded directly by .NET. I create a small example here. You've got encoded data, base64 in my case. I decoded data here, and after decoding, I load it and execute it. It's exactly the same thing. I simply don't want to execute malware on my laptop. That's why I create a new one. How it works? If we want to analyze it with WinDBG, we execute Packer here. Same thing. I'm going to change font. Okay. So the thing here, if I try to load SOS extension, it failed. Why? Because the binary at this time is stopped at the beginning of the execution, at the first instruction. And the .NET framework is not loaded inside of the binary. So WinDBG said, no, I cannot load this extension. It's not a .NET binary. But yes, it is. It's simply too early to clearly, for WinDBG to identify its .NET binary. So what I do, I simply breakpoint when .NET is loaded first. Yeah, at this time, .NET framework is loaded inside of my process. And at this time, I'm able to load SOS extension. It's a simple trick to load the SOS extension. So, same thing than previously, I breakpoint on assembly load twice, as usual. Yeah, generally when I was at school, teachers say it's stupid to do twice the same thing. You will have the same results. No, it's not so stupid. Not for Microsoft at least. And you execute your binary. Yeah, I got breakpoint during my assembly load. I use same thing than previously. I want to see my stack, .NET stack here, and I got assembly load, byte array. I click on it, and here you've got the address of the byte array, and interesting, you've got MZ. This program cannot be run in DOS mode. So you've got directly a binary in argument of assembly load. So you can dump it, and it's over. You've got the unpacked sample. Yeah, I can do that. Yeah, you've got the MZ, this program cannot be run, and in fact, here it's the size of the variable. It's a byte array, so you've got the size of the byte array. And you can dump it directly from memory by using write mem. And you've got the unpacked binary, and you can open it with EIL-SPY like here, and read the code of the final payload. So it works. Here is an example where I analyze a lot of similar sample with a script and directly extract the final binary for each file. So it's really easy, and you can do it massively without any problem. The only limitation is the packer must use the same philosophy and use assembly load to load something. To help people to work on this, I create a Python script. You can find it on our GitHub account. The thing is, officially WinDBG does not support Python, but people create an extension for WinDBG to support Python. So this extension is PYKD, and is freely, you can freely download it, and after you can use my Python script. Here is an example of output. I can show you. For the moment, I don't have any fail. Maybe it's a mistake to say that, but so I attach to my PowerShell here, up, okay. I open workspace here, okay. So at this time, I load .NET extension and I load pkd, so the Python extension, and finally I can execute the .NET script. I don't think it's here. No, just yeah, I like to hide my script. Yeah. And finally, it's the name is .NET plugin.py. Yeah, it's loaded, and I can do my start-process on Notepad, for example. Notepad. Yeah, at this time you can see a lot of stuff. It's executed, but the script directly dump, for example, process start info, and it dump the object, and if it's a string or integer or something interesting, it directly show you the information, and everything is in JSON, so if you need to parse it after in Python, it's really easy. And yeah, you can see even if you do a start process, somewhere inside you've got assembly load, which is executed. I don't know why in this case, but it's automatically dumped. If I check my script just to show you configuration, it's really easy. Here I simply put the DLL where is located the function to monitor. So in this case, I monitor start process, download file, assembly load. So each time one of these functions is executed, I dump argument, I display strings. If I've got string, I display integer, extra, directly here. If I go there, no, it's not relevant. Yeah, here I've got the directory value directly dumped to the output, and sometimes Windows style it's an integer, the value is 0, so I show 0, extra. So you can see the .NET structure are quite big. There is a lot of information simply to create a process. But yeah, it works. You can freely download the script if you want to test, and he's able to dump byte array of assembly load execution. So thanks to the script, you can directly save on disk executable in argument of assembly load. The only thing is the binary is really executed on the machine. So if it downloads a sample and executes a sample, it's executed on your machine. So use a virtual machine if you want to play with it. So conclusion, we published a blog post about all the things I mentioned to you about how to analyze .NET and indirectly PowerShell script with WinDBG. And we publish the script, of course, if you want to play with it. Additionally, I won't mention that on my talk because I don't have time, but after the first publication, someone asked me if it works for JavaScript. Can I analyze JavaScript application with WinDBG with the same way? And I started to look at it, and in fact, JavaScript absolutely not use a .NET framework. It's pure managed code, it's pure C, C++. So you cannot use SOS extension to do the same thing with JavaScript. But I wrote a blog post to explain how to do it with a common debugger feature without .NET. So if you're interested, basically you can do the same thing with JavaScript, simply not with SOS extension, but directly with the debugger. So it's online and you can play with it. I don't provide any script for this specific case. Something new for WinDBG user, you saw my crappy interface, and Microsoft is working on a new version. They released this beta 2 weeks ago, and maybe one day we will have a debugger with a sexy design. They had ribbon and all classical Windows stuff, and now you have some button first, and you are able to easily modify the layout. You've got directly tab here to get memory, to get register, etc., without typing command, simply by clicking on it. So basically it's the same thing, but with more user-friendly interfaces. So for the moment it's a beta, you can download it, it works. But as it was published last week or 2 weeks ago, I didn't want to use it for demo because I can have a lot of surprise with beta. But maybe we will have something interesting. Here you've got directly the stack, you can have thread, extra. So it's becoming something more usable for people. So, as always, if you are interested on our blog post, we publish everything we mentioned on conference, etc. So you will find all the information you want. We have Tyler Security Twitter account if you want to follow us to see all the articles we publish in more or less real time. My Twitter handle and Security Board, Warren, the organizer of one of the organizers of the conference, helped me a lot for this research. So I put his Twitter nickname too. So if you have questions, feel free. If you are shy, we can speak outside, no problem.